ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
So let's do the Mangala Charan prayers together. ॐ
ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्दे अहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुवैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सगणलिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते।
सप्त कांचन राधे
राधे
वृंदावनेश्वरी
वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यश्चैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्याचारिणे।
जय
जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे।
श्री कृष्ण भगवान की जय। श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय। हरे कृष्ण।
जय श्री कृष्णा।
Hare Krishna, Rajesh Prabhu. Hare Krishna, everyone.
हरे कृष्णा।
So we are just four so far today. We can continue next verses, or we can discuss a little bit different topic if you want. What do you think?
हाँ, I'm open.
नेक्स्ट वर्ष चालेल ना, कारण आहेत लोक आहेत.
Continue करायचं. Okay.
That's what I think.
Yeah, that's fine. So we are reading from the most confidential knowledge, chapter 9, Raja Vidya Rajaguhya Yoga, and we are almost towards the end. So yeah, last week we read Samoham Sarva Bhuteshu, Name Dveshu Na Priya Ye Bhajanti Tumam Bhaktya Mayi Te Teshu Chapyam. That Krishna said that he is equal to all, he is neutral, and he is not partial to anyone. But if somebody worships me with wholeheartedly, then he said that ye bhajanti tu mam bhaktya mayi te teshu cha api aham, that they are in me and I am in them. They are friend. So he is friend to me. So now next couple of verses are very beautiful actually. So this is very nice verses. So let's read this. Api chet su-durācāro.
अपि चेत् सुदुराचारो
अपि चेत् सुदुराचारो
अपि चेत् सुदुराचारो
भजते मामनन्यभाक्
bhajate mam ananya-bhāk,
bhajate mam ananya-bhāk,
bhajate mam ananya-bhāk,
sādhureva samantavyaḥ,
sādhureva sa mantavyaḥ,
sādhureva samantavyaḥ,
sādhureva sa mantavyaḥ,
samyag vyavasito hi saha,
samyag vyavasito hi saha,
samyag vyavasito hi saha,
samyag vyavasito hi saha,
api chet su-durācāro,
api chet su-durācāro,
bhajate mam ananya-bhāk,
bhajate mam ananya-bhāk,
sādhureva samantavyaḥ,
sādhureva sa mantavyaḥ,
samyag vyavasito hi saha.
samyag vyavasito hi saha.
Okay, we'll take one recitation. How about Madhu Prabhu, you want to recite?
अपि चेत् सुदुराचारो
अपि चेत् su-durācāro,
भजते मामन्यभाक्
bhajate mam ananya-bhāk,
साधुरेव समन्तव्य
sādhureva sa mantavyaḥ,
सम्यग् व्यवसितो हि सः
Samyag
samyag vyavasito hi saha.
Thank you, Prabhu. So, word for word meaning is api means even, chet means if, su-durācāraha means one committing the most abominable actions or very sinful person. Bhajate is engaged in devotional service. Mam means unto me. Ananya-bhāk without deviation. Sadhu a saint. Eva means certainly. Sa means he. Mantavyaḥ means is to be considered. Samyak means completely or perfect. Vyavasitah means situated in determination. He means certainly. Sa means he. So this is a person. Su-durācāra means somebody who is committing some unfavorable actions or very abominable actions. He is engaged in some kind of activities. Those are generally normally may be considered as sinful. So what Krishna is saying here is, even if one commits the most abominable action, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated in his determination. It's very, very strong and very bold statement actually. So even if api chet su-durācāro, even if somebody is engaged in some abominable activities which are not very pious, very sinful in a way, but if he is engaged in mam ananya-bhāk, he is engaged in his Krishna service. That word is not here, mam here actually, unto me. So he is engaged in Krishna's devotional service. How? Ananya-bhāk, without deviation, without any anything he wants. He is worshipping Krishna with staunch faith. So Krishna is saying that he should be considered as sadhu. Sadhureva samantavya. Why? Because he is perfectly situated. Samyag means perfect or proper. In determination. So he is rightly situated in his determination because he knows what is good for him and he is working towards it, because the ultimate goal of human form of life is to engage in Krishna's service. So let's read the purport, and I think we will do the next verse also because it's better we read both of them together. Chandrakant Prabhu, why don't you read the first, say, 2 paragraphs?
Okay. The word su-durācāra is used in this verse is very significant, and we should understand it properly. When a living entity is conditioned, he has two kinds of activities. One is conditional and the other is constitutional. as per protecting the body or abiding by the rules of society and state. Certainly, there are different activities, even for the devotees, in connection with the conditional life, and such activities are called conditional. Besides this, the living entity who is fully conscious of his spiritual nature and is engaged in Krishna consciousness or the devotional service of the Lord has activities which are called transcendental. Such activities are performed in his constitutional position, and they are technically called devotional service. Now, in the conditioned state, sometimes devotional service and the conditional service in relation to the body will parallel one another. But then again, sometimes these activities become opposed to one another. As far as possible, a devotee is very cautious so that he does not do anything that could disrupt his wholesome condition. He knows that perfection in his activities depends on his progressive realization of Krishna consciousness. Sometimes, however, it may be seen that a person in Krishna consciousness commits some act which may be taken as most abominable socially or politically. But such a temporary fall down does not disqualify him. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that if a person falls down but is wholeheartedly engaged in the transcendental service of the Supreme Lord, the Lord being situated within his heart purifies him and excuses him from that abomination. The material contamination is so strong that even a yogi fully engaged in the service of the Lord sometimes becomes ensnared. But Krishna consciousness is so strong that such an occasional fall down is at once rectified. Therefore, the process of devotional service is always a success. No one should deride a devotee for some accidental fall down from the ideal path. For as explained in the next verse, such occasional fall down will be stopped in due course as soon as the devotee is completely situated in Krishna consciousness. Therefore, person who is situated in Krishna consciousness is engaged with determination in the process of chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, should be considered to be the transcendental in the transcendental position, even if by chance or accident he is found to have fallen. The word sādhur eva is saintly are very emphatic. They are a warning to the non-devotees that because of an accidental fall down, a devotee should not be derided. He should still be considered saintly even if he has accidentally fallen down. And the word mantavyaḥ is still more emphatic. If one does not follow this rule and derides a devotee for his accidental fall down, then one is disobeying the order of the Supreme Lord. The only qualification of a devotee is to be unflinchingly and exclusively engaged in devotional service.
Thank you, Prabhu. Rajesh Prabhu, you want to read the remaining purport?
Rajesh Anantraman.
Rajesh Anantraman, yeah.
The meaning, bhagavati cha haritva.
From here, in the
Okay.
Narasimha.
In the Narasimha Purana, the following is given. Bhagavati cha haritva ananya-cheta. Brasa. थोड़ा मोटा करना जा रस मालिनोपि विराजते मनुष्य नहीं शशकलुषा कभी कदाचित तिमिरा परुभावतम उपैति चंद्र. The meaning is that even if one fully is engaged in the devotional service of the Lord, he is sometimes found engaged in abominable activities. These activities should be considered to be like the spots that resemble the mark of a rabbit on the moon. Such spots do not become an impediment in the diffusion of moonlight. Similarly, the accidental fall down of a devotee from the path of saintly character does not make him abominable. On the other hand, one should not misunderstand that a devotee in transcendental devotion service can act in all kinds of abominable ways. This verse only refers to an accident due to the strong power of material connections. Devotional service is more or less a declaration of war against the illusory energy. As long as one is not strong enough to fight the illusory energy, there may be accidental fall downs. But when one is strong enough, he is no longer subjected to such fall downs as previously explained. No one should take advantage of this verse and commit nonsense and think that he is still a devotee. If he does not improve his character by devotional service, then it is to be understood that he is not a high devotee.
Thank you so much, bro. So pretty clear from purport, actually. Very nicely.
Absolutely. And he has also put the disclaimer.
Yeah, the last paragraph is disclaimer.
This is
Yeah, don't take this as, okay, I am devotee, so I am free to do anything. No, that's not the case. Very nicely put. So, Hare Krishna Bapu Prabhu. So, what we are reading here is Krishna says that apichet su-durācāro bhajate mam ananya-bhāk sādhureva samantavyaḥ samyag vyavasito. So that even if somebody commits some abominable act, so if he is serving Krishna or he is engaged in devotional service or in bhakti of Krishna, ananya-bhāvani, staunch devotional service, then Krishna is saying that he should be considered as a sadhu.
Yes.
That's a very bold statement, but here Prabhupada then gives that even though su-durācāra word is very significant, and we have to understand it properly, that when a living entity is conditioned. So Prabhupada gives us our two activities. One is conditional activity and one is constitutional activity.
Yes.
Conditional activity is, as long as we are in this material world, we have to do some material work. We have, so there are, it is something similar to, there are two dharmas what we all have. One is swadharma, so that is material duty that I have to do based on my bodily position. So if I am a child, then I have my primary duty as a study, get better and follow the orders of elderly and my gurus, my father and mother, everybody. But when I grow up, then I may have my duty towards my employer, towards my family, to maintain them, and so on and so forth. So these are all called swadharma. But there is something beyond that, because we are not this body. We are actually a spirit soul. So in that role, a spirit soul, I am eternally existing. So that is my eternal position. So in that position, I have a dharma that is called sanatana dharma. So sanatana dharma, or my eternal duty, is to engage in Krishna's devotional service. That is the only duty I have. The material duty is just temporary as long as I have this material body. But because I am Sanatan and I have forgotten my Sanatan duty, that's why I had to take this material body. So those are two activities Prabhupada gives here. The activities such as material life and conditional life are called conditional. And besides this, the living entities who is fully conscious in his spiritual nature and engaged in Krishna consciousness, that is called transcendental or constitutional activity. That is my constitutional position. My constitutional position is, I am not this body, I am eternal spirit spark, a spiritual being. So that such activities perform in his constitutional position, and they are technically called as devotional service. So, but what happens is, when somebody is engaged in devotional service, but simultaneously living in a material life, and he want to enjoy, from material point of view, sometimes these two paths, the conditional activities and the constitutional activities, they may run parallel. So it is okay. But sometimes they are opposite to each other. And that's where this durācāra comes in place. So sometimes my material activities drag me because I have developed certain habits depending on the modes of nature what I am associating with in past several lifetimes. Everybody has developed certain type of habits, and not all habits are necessarily good habits. We have so many, what is called as, in technical term, they are called as anarthas. So I have been carrying many anarthas, and now I engage in Krishna's service, in Krishna conscious activities. But even though I am engaged in devotional service on Krishna conscious activities, those habits don't go away very easily. So somebody who is engaged in devotional service or who is engaged in Krishna consciousness may still have certain habits, and he may engage in some bad type of activities because of that. So even though they are opposite, but that type of person, Krishna says that he should be considered as sadhu. And those activities, he said, because he has developed those habits, they are accidental. He is not purposely doing that because he is engaged in Krishna conscious activities. He is studying from scriptures. He understands that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, and my duty is to serve him and engage in service. So even though he's sincerely trying in bhakti, but because of old habits, he may have some accidental fall downs. He may engage in some activities which are abominable from socially, politically perspective. So Krishna is saying that those should be considered as sadhu, even if the person acts something improperly from social perspective or from other ways, he should be considered as sadhu. Because when a person engages in Krishna conscious activity, he starts the process of chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Now, as we have discussed so many times, that this mantra is not ordinary mantra. This is called Mahamantra, and this purifies our heart. Cheto Darpanamarjanam. So the more and more we chant this, the more and more our heart or chitta gets cleansed. It gets purified, and all the anarthas will slowly fall off. We will get freed from all the old bad habits, and we will get more and more better understanding about Krishna. Because the purer the heart gets, the easier it is for us to understand the instruction given by Krishna and instructions about him, his pastimes, to understand him. Because just like in a pure mirror, you can get the clear reflection, but on a dirt mirror that is covered with dust, you cannot see even the reflection clear. In the same manner, when our heart is clear, our mirror of the heart, Cheto Darpana Marjanam, when our mirror of the heart or chitta or consciousness is cleansed, then we start seeing things as they are in reality, and they are not contaminated. And then we can assimilate, we can understand the instructions given in Bhagavad Gita very easily. And then Prabhupada quotes here from Nrsimha Purana that even if one is fully engaged in Krishna service, sometimes found engaged in abominable activities. So even that person, this accidental fall down should not be taken too seriously, and he should be considered as a sadhu or saintly person, because his character is not abominable, but his certain activities accidentally may be abominable. But at the same time, as Rajesh Prabhu said, Prabhupada gives a disclaimer in the last paragraph that one should not misunderstand and take disadvantage of this verse that, oh, I am engaged in Krishna's bhakti, so that gives me license to do everything. No, that is not true. A devotee never thinks like that. So devotional service. So because devotional service to Krishna is actually waging a war against Maya, because Maya is always trying to control us, trying to capture us. And when we engage in devotional service, sometimes Maya will dictate us. She will say, oh, why do you want to get up early? Just sleep a little bit more. Oh, today Gita class, okay, there is some party. Why don't you skip today? One day skipping, no big deal. So Maya will always try to trick our mind, because Maya is very strong. So engaging engaging in Krishna's bhakti is actually waging war against Maya, which is Krishna's illusory energy. As Krishna said in the 7th chapter, 14th verse, Daivihi Ishwagunamayi Mama Maya Durattaya. That this divine energy, which is which controls the living entities by three modes of material nature, satoguna, rajoguna, and tamogun, is very, very difficult to overcome. Durattaya. But mameva ye prapadyante mayametam tarantite. But one who surrenders me and engages in my bhakti, then he can easily cross over this Daivi material energy called Maya. Mayam etam tarantite. So one should not take disadvantage of this verse and commit nonsense and still think that he is a devotee, because then he may fall down. Actually, chanting, when we chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra in Padma Puran, there are 10 offenses given. Sometime we probably will discuss those. And but there is one of the very important offense or aparad given, that namnat balad yasya hi papa buddhi. That if somebody thinks that, oh, I am chanting Hare Krishna mantra, so I am purifying. So on the power of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, I can do sinful activities. I can do anything and I'll get purified. Namnat balad. So on the bal or power of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, yasya hi papa buddhi. If somebody develops a papa buddhi, then that is considered as very abominable aparad against a Nam, against the Harinam. So, because people sometimes think that, oh, I have a remedy, I can do anything in the morning and then chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra and then I'm good. That's what, unfortunately, we see many times in the churches that happen, right? People go to church on Sunday and then they do, what is they called? Confession. So, oh, Father, I have sinned this, and then Father says, okay, you have agreed, because you have confessed, you are relieved from all the sins. And then the person who is confessing, that he thinks that, okay, I'm free now again to do all the pap for next 1 week. I can come back again on Sunday and do confession. No, that's not a good idea. That is not recommended in Vedic literature. So that has to be avoided. And then he should not be considered as a high devotee. He's neophyte, he's progressing, but he still has a lot of polluted thoughts in his mind. So let's read the next verse. So why he should be considered as sadhu? So that's what Krishna further says here. So let's recite the verse. Kṣipraṁ bhavati dharmātmā.
Kṣipraṁ bhavati dharmātmā.
Kṣipraṁ bhavati dharmātmā.
Kṣipraṁ bhavati dharmātmā.
śaśvac-chāntiṁ nigacchati.
śaśvac-chāntiṁ nigacchati.
śaśvac-chāntiṁ nigacchati.
śaśvac-chāntiṁ nigacchati.
kaunteya pratijānīhi.
kaunteya pratijānīhi.
kaunteya pratijānīhi.
kaunteya pratijānīhi.
na me bhaktaḥ praṇaśyati.
na me bhaktaḥ praṇaśyati.
na me bhaktaḥ praṇaśyati.
na me bhaktaḥ praṇaśyati.
kṣipraṁ bhavati dharmātmā.
kṣipraṁ bhavati dharmātmā.
śaśvac-chāntiṁ nigacchati.
śaśvac-chāntiṁ nigacchati.
kaunteya pratijānīhi.
kaunteya pratijānīhi.
na me bhaktaḥ praṇaśyati.
na me bhaktaḥ praṇaśyati.
Rajesh Anantaraman Prabhu, you want to lead?
kṣipraṁ bhavati dharmātmā.
kṣipraṁ bhavati dharmātmā.
śaśvac-chāntiṁ nigacchati.
śaśvac-chāntiṁ nigacchati.
kaunteya pratijānīhi.
kaunteya pratijānīhi.
na me bhaktaḥ praṇaśyati.
na me bhaktaḥ praṇaśyati.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So word for word meaning. Kṣipraṁ means very soon. Bhavati means he becomes. Dharmātmā means righteous, a person who follows the dharmic principles. śaśvac-chāntiṁ, lasting peace. Śaśvat means lasting, Shantim means peace. śaśvac-chāntiṁ. Nigacchati means he attains. Kaunteya, he is referring here to Arjuna, O son of Kuntī. Pratijānīhi, declare it boldly. Na means never. Me means my. Bhaktaḥ means devotee. praṇaśyati means perishes. Very, very strong and bold statement to counter or protect the previous statement. So he, the one who he is referred as su-durācāro, who acts in abominable activity, he is continuing with that person. He quickly becomes righteous and attains lasting peace. O son of Kuntī, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. Very, very strong. My devotee never perishes. Krishna is saying one who engages in devotional service, Krishna who himself takes his charge and he makes sure that he will never fall down again in this material world. So he will give him all the facilities, all the knowledge, instruction, and he will make sure that his devotee never falls down. So that person who was engaged, who was su-durācāro, who was engaged in Krishna's bhakti, but also engaged in some sinful activities, then he becomes righteous, kṣipraṁ, very soon. He quickly becomes righteous. Kṣipraṁ bhavati dharmātmā. And attains lasting peace. śaśvac-chāntiṁ nigacchati. Kaunteya pratijānīhi na me bhakta praṇaśyati. My devotee never perishes. So let's read the purport, small purport, and we'll discuss both together then. Madhu Prabhu, do you want to read the purport?
This should not be misunderstood. In the seventh chapter, the Lord says that one who is engaged in mischievous activities cannot become a devotee of the Lord. One who is not a devotee of the Lord has no good qualification whatsoever. The question remains then, how can a person engaged in abominable activities, either by accident or by intention, be a pure devotee? This question may justly be raised. The miscreants, as stated in the seventh chapter, who never come to the devotional service of the Lord, have no good qualification, as it is stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Generally, a devotee who is engaged in the 9 kinds of devotional activities is engaged in the process of the cleansing of all material contamination from the heart. He puts the Supreme Personality of Godhead within his heart, and all sinful contaminations are naturally washed away. Continuous thinking of the Supreme Lord makes him pure by nature. According to the Vedas, there is a certain regulation that if one falls down from his exalted position, he has to undergo certain ritualistic processes to purify himself. But here there is no such condition, because the purifying process is already there in the heart of the devotee due to his remembering the Supreme Personality of Godhead constantly. Therefore, the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare should be continued without stoppage. This will protect a devotee from all accidental fall downs. He will thus remain perpetually free from all material contaminations.
Thank you so much, Madhu Prabhu. So Prabhupada again warns in the beginning that this should not be misunderstood, that one should engage in abominable activities and engage in Krishna service, and then Krishna will protect him. Krishna still will protect him, but that should not be the attitude of doing something wrong. It should be avoided as much as possible. A devotee is always pure. He never tries to engage in any wrong activity. And one who is not a devotee of Lord has no good qualification whatsoever. So actually in Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto, there is very beautiful verse that even if sometimes people may think that, oh, there is, why do we need to engage in Krishna's bhakti? I can still be a good person. But to defeat that, there is a nice verse that it says, Prahlad Maharaj says actually, Yasyasti bhakti bhagavati akinchana sarvair gunair tatra samasate sura harav abhaktasya kuto mahadguna manorathena asati bhavato vahi. That yasya asti bhakti bhagavati akinchana. So one who has bhakti for Bhagwan, akinchana, means staunch devotional service. Sarvair gunair tatra samasate sura. So he develops all the good qualities of sura. Sura means devatas. All the divine qualities which are conducive for liberation. Those qualities automatically are developed or manifested in him. Sarvair gunair tatra samasate sura. Sura means devatas. Harav abhaktasya kuto mahadguna. Then he questions that if there is abhakta of Hari, harav abhaktasya kuto mahadguna, what kind of good qualities he even have? Because why? Manorathena sati dhavato vahi. He is running after Bhagwan's external energy. Bahir, Maya. External energy is Maya, internal energy is spiritual energy. Because he's on the chariot of mind, Manorathena, on the chariot of mind, asati dhavato bahi, which is he's running after the external energy, which is asat. Asat means temporary, or sometimes it is also referred as something that is illusory. So he's running after the illusory energy because he has not engaged in Krishna's service. So even sometimes people may think that, oh, a person who is really morally very nice and very good behavior and everything, but if he is not a devotee, there will be temptations, he will fall immediately to them. But a devotee will never fall to them. So just material morality is considered to be of not very importance in our Vedic literature. So Krishna's bhakti is very, very important for us. And then Prabhupada refers to here the 7th chapter verse that Krishna gives. There are 4 kinds of people who do not engage in my devotional service. Namam dushkritano muda prapaddante naradhama mayaya paradajnana asuri bhavamashita. Muda, somebody who is murkha, somebody who is unintelligent. So namam dushkritino, and all of them, they are called dushkritina or impious people. Mudha prapaddante naradhama, the lowest among mankind, nar adhama. Mayaya aparuta jnana, and the persons whose knowledge is stolen by Maya, he is completely under control of Maya. And asuri bhavamashita, one who has taken shelter of asuri bhav, one who is for his own sense enjoyment, he can go to any level and he doesn't care for God. So all these 4 different types of people, Krishna says that they do not engage in my devotional service. They do not engage in my bhakti. So that's what he is referring to here. So, but generally devotees are engaged in 9 kinds of devotional service. So we learned about these 9 kinds of devotional service. Navavidha bhakti. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atma Nivedanam. So it starts from Shravanam and Kirtanam. That's what every time we meet, we do that. We hear about Krishna's glory, about Krishna's instructions from Bhagavad Gita, about his pastimes, about his devotees, and how do we engage in his bhakti. So that is Shravanam and Kirtanam. So one person is talking, other persons are listening. All this is Shravanam Kirtanam. And in the meantime, we are also thinking about Krishna's pastimes or his instructions, what we have studied in the past, what we have learned. So, Shravanam Kirtanam Smaranam. Pada Sevanam, we engage in his lotus feet, serving lotus feet. Archanam, we are doing his arti or worshipping him. Vandanam, offering him namaskar. Dasyam, engaging as working as his servant. Sakhyam, accepting him as your friend and then serving in that mode. And eventually, Atmanivedanam, offering everything what I have to him, including my mind, intelligence, false ego, body, everything. Just like we read a couple of weeks ago, right? Yat karoshi yadashnasi yat juhoshi dadasi yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurushva mad arpanam. Krishna says, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever. So everything, my body, mind, intelligence, if I engage in Krishna's service, that is Atmanivedanam. Give up everything and Krishna, this body is yours, I am yours, whatever you have given is yours, and I am going to engage everything in only your service. So these are the different processes of bhakti. And by doing this, who is purified? Krishna doesn't need purification. He is always pure. He is ever pure. It is for our benefit. Engaging in Krishna's bhakti is for our benefit. It is the most beneficial act we can do to ourselves. So that is what it is. And therefore, chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra without any stoppage will protect us from accidental fall downs, which may happen sometimes. So I think I will stop here. Yeah, and then here also there it is said that according to the Vedas, there are certain regulations that if one falls down from exalted position, he has to undergo some certain ritualistic processes to purify himself. So this is something called, if we have heard, if somebody engages in sinful activity, then he can do some purification process. There are rituals he can do to purify himself, and that is called praṇaśyati. So and there are different types of praṇaśyati are given in our Vedic literature for karmis. But if a person is engaged in Krishna's devotional service, then he doesn't have to undergo any atonement or praṇaśyati because he is already engaged in the most purificatory process that will purify him completely from everything, and Krishna will take care of him, because Krishna in the previous verse said, "Na me bhakta praṇaśyati." Or here, right? Yeah, here. Krishna said that kaunteya pratijānīhi na me bhakta praṇaśyati. Now there is one more part to this actually. He is asking kaunteya pratijānīhi. Arjuna, you declare it boldly. Why doesn't Krishna declare it? Krishna can declare it also, right? But the acharyas say that Krishna doesn't declare this. He wants his devotee, his dear devotee, to declare it, because Krishna may break his own promise, but Krishna will always protect his devotee's word or his promise. Krishna being supreme, he can break his own promise, but he will make sure that if his devotee makes a promise, Krishna will make sure that that is always fulfilled. And there are so many stories that Krishna fulfills his promise. And one of them is, we just had Narsimha Chaturdashi past week, right? So Brahmaji gave a very strong boon to Hiranyakashipu. We all know that, right? Hiranyakashipu worshipped Brahmaji, and he asked for a boon that he make him immortal. But Brahmaji said, even I am not immortal. How can I make you immortal? And then Hiranyakashipu thought that he is very smart person, and then he asked him boon that he doesn't want to die in air, not in water, not on land, not by any animals or anybody, any living entity in this material world created not by any weapon, and so many, not in day, not in night, and so many things. The best insurance policy you can ever get. And he was granted by Brahmaji. And Brahmaji is Krishna's devotee. So to protect all the boons given by Brahmaji and still kill Hiranyakashipu, Lord Krishna appeared in the form of Nrsimhadev Bhagavan. And he appeared at a time when it was dusk. So it was not day, it was not night. He was not a created being in this material world, because he appeared through a pillar. He was not born to any kind of living entity, and he was half man, half lion, which is not an existing living entity in this material creation. Then he killed him by putting him on the lap. So he was not on the ground, not in air, or not in sky. He sat on his doorstep so that he was half inside, half outside. So he was not inside and not outside. And he killed him by his nails, not by any other weapon. So by protecting all the boons given by Brahmaji to Hiranyakashipu, Nrsimhadev killed him. So he protects his devotees' promise, but he can break his own promise. And that's why he says here, kaunteya, O Arjuna, you declare it boldly that na me bhakta praṇaśyati, my devotee never perishes. And there is another story actually where Krishna broke his promise. So we all know the war of Mahabharata. So before the war started, both Arjun and Duryodhan went to Krishna for asking for help. And then Krishna said that, okay, one of you can get only me, who is not going to fight, because it is all your cousin's war, so I'm not going to engage in any kind of fight. I will not lift any weapon or anything or attack anybody. And then on the other side, there is whole Narayani Sena. So Duryodhan thought he was very smart, and then he took the Narayani Sena, because without weapon Krishna, what's use of him? And then Arjuna was very happy that he got Krishna. So he had taken a vow that he will not lift a weapon or he will not engage in any kind of fight. Now fast forward, during the war, Duryodhan once got angry with Bhishma, Pitamaha Bhishma, and he said, because these Pandavas are very dear to you, you are not fighting to your potency. You are not fighting with wholeheartedly. Because he knew Bhishma was a valiant warrior and he could easily defeat all these Pandavas. So Bhishma said, no, I am trying. And he said, okay, I take a vow that he pick up 5 special arrows, and he said, tomorrow in war, with these 5 arrows, I will kill 5 Pandavas. So Duryodhan say, okay, I will take care of those arrows and I'll give you in the morning. So Duryodhan took those arrows, and then in the evening, they went to their own tents. Lord Krishna, because he is sarvasya-chāham hridhi sannivishto, he is in everybody's heart. He knows what's going on. He's all-knower. So he told Arjuna that Duryodhan has 5 arrows that is given to him by Pitamaha Bhishma. And Duryodhan had given you a boon that you should ask for anything you want. Because once when Duryodhan was in trouble, he wanted to show something to Pandavas and kind of make them show really low, but he was engaged in some fight, and then Arjuna had protected him. And then Duryodhana, being elder brother of Arjuna, he said, oh, my young brother, you can ask for something. And Arjuna said, I don't want anything, I can ask later. So Krishna now said, go and ask for those 5 arrows from Duryodhana. So Arjuna went to Duryodhana. So Duryodhana welcomed him. And the wars in those days were like, after war, everybody is friendly. Only on the battlefield, everybody is each other's enemy. Otherwise, after war, their behavior, everything was very friendly. So Duryodhana welcomed him. He called him, okay, what do you want? How can I help you? You are my younger brother and all that stuff. So Arjun said, no, I don't want anything. I just want those. You remember you had given me. Oh, yeah. I remember that. What do you want? I can give you anything. So Arjun said, I want those 5 arrows which Pitamaha Bhishma has done. Oh, Duryodhana was very happy. Okay, take this. Go. So when Pitamaha Bhishma learned about this, he said, oh, Krishna is very cunning. That's politics. So Krishna, you made me break my promise, because I had said that with these 5 arrows, I am going to kill Pandavas. But tomorrow I will fight such a war that I will have you break your vow, that you said that you will not engage in any kind of fight and you will not lift any weapon. But I will defeat Arjuna, and then I'll make you break your vow. So then Bhishma took vow that tomorrow either Krishna will lift a weapon or Arjuna will die in the war. And then next day in the war, he fought so valiantly that Arjuna was completely defeated. And his chariot was completely broken. Everything was broken, and Arjuna was almost got killed by Pitamaha Bhishma. And that time, Krishna left the chariot and he picked up a wheel of chariot and ran after Bhishma to fight with him. And seeing that, Pitamaha Bhishma was very happy. So he put all his weapons aside and offered his obeisances to Krishna, that you broke your promise for 2 devotees. One was Bhishma and one was Arjuna. So he broke his promise to protect the promise of Pitamaha Bhishma. That Pitamaha Bhishma said that I will make Krishna lift weapon. And then Krishna had said that I will not lift any weapon. I will not engage in any kind of fight. But he engaged in fight with Bhishma. And the second devotee is Arjuna. To protect him, Krishna broke his promise. So that is Krishna. Krishna breaks his promise, but he will always protect a devotee's word and a devotee. And that's why he says here that kaunteya, O Arjuna, pratijānīhi, you declare it boldly. What? Na me bhakta praṇaśyati, that my devotee never perishes. My devotee never falls down. So I think I'll stop there and we can take some reflections. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
So, Prabhuji, सुरुवातीला म्हटल्याप्रमाणे it's a very, very extremely bold statement, I'll say. Right? Ki, even if the mistakes or even if the some abominable act is made by the devotee, the God is there to protect. Right? And it should not be considered as a sin kind of thing. But the disclaimer is that a kind of a devotee definition is very, very strict. Just someone chanting or someone pretending to be a devotee cannot be considered as a devotee. So first someone need to get qualified for that and then try to then getting involved into this kind of abominable act is one thing. Right? So chances that a devotee or getting a real devotee, first becoming the real devotee and then going into this kind of act, I think that's a kind of not possibility if you genuinely ask me.
Things happen like that. There are some stories in the past that happened, and that's why we learned from them, right? But
right.
The key word is bhajate mam ananya-bhāk. So even if somebody engages in sinful activity, but he is also bhajate mam ananya-bhāk, not making a show. but he is
Yeah, not
also a
making a
devotee.
show,
That
right?
you
That's
rightly
what
said. You
very
rightly said that.
superficially the act
Yeah.
na karta, who is really involved into me, then I am there to protect that devotee.
Yes.
Right? So to qualify for the devotee itself is a that is a different level kind of, right?
Mhm.
And so therefore I think that disclaimer what is put is right to someone to understand that okay, first you qualify for that, and then if you do anything, I am there for you.
Yes.
Right?
Very nice. Mhm.
Yeah.
Thank you. But these are very beautiful verses. Did we know this kind of stuff is in Bhagavad Gita?
Yeah, definitely no, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, means every day, means every session we are getting little by little,
Mhm.
some kind of eye opener, some kind of totally new,
Mhm.
right? Means we never thought of that. Okay, even if you do these things, God is there to protect you. But when definitions need to understand very
Mhm.
clear.
Yeah.
It is not that नाही तर आम्ही म्हणतो पण म्हणतो नाही की बाबा काय नाही देव आहे पाठीशी काय घाबरू नको करून टाक. तसं नाही.
Yes. Very nice.
Yeah.
But this is this verse where he said that na me bhakta praṇaśyati. So that if you engage in my devotional service, I will take care of you and I'll make sure that you will never fall down. So that is very, very strong statement that gives us
Yeah.
that should give a confidence to everyone that oh, if I do Krishna's bhakti, then I don't have to worry about anything. But I have to wholeheartedly, with pure heart, engage in his service, engage in his bhakti. Yep.
नाही तर होतं ना मांजर मारण काशीला जाऊन पापक शालन करून येत तशा स्टाईल. इट्स व्हेरी सुपरफिशियल काइंड ऑफ थिंग. तसं नाही.
Yeah. Thank you, Puma.
Sure.
We will stop here.